Keep in mind, inaccurate does not mean bad. The following video was made purely for entertainment purposes. Also, huge thanks to Charlie Peripanides, one of the show's creators, who actually gave me the go-ahead to make this video and even offered some info on how they make decisions over there. Thanks for being such a great sport, man.
Barbarians drink unmixed wine.
Excuse you, sir. While it was indeed more classy to drink mixed wine in ancient Greece, the Greeks also had a deity named Acrotus, who was the literal god of drinking unmixed wine. If you're gonna talk that way about one of your gods, you're gonna have a bad time.
You need not fear me. I am Grand Archon Alexia. I'm in pursuit of a demon.
Greek mythology does not have demons. It has daemons, which are deities or personifications of certain aspects, but they certainly aren't common monsters which can be hunted by human soldiers. Most daemons are immortal.
One of these days you're going to get yourself killed, Elias.
Elias was a name used in Greece, but what's funny about it here is this character is later revealed to be Zeus in disguise, and the name Elias originated from the Hebrew name Elijah, which means the Lord is my God. Wonder why Zeus would pick that. Is Zeus Jewish?
May the gods have mercy.
Using fire as a way to reveal the true nature of possessed demonic cultists in front of a large crowd is something much more reminiscent of the Salem witch trials than anything in Greek mythology. I'm starting to think this show can't tell the difference between Greeks and Abrahamics.
When the world was new, the gods, the masters of light, defeated the Titans, the family of darkness.
What are you talking about? First of all, the gods were children of the Titans, so it was all the same family. Second, under what criteria are we stating that the gods get to be masters of light and the Titans are beings of darkness? Neither Zeus nor any of his siblings were gods of light. Apollo wasn't born yet. Hell, one of the Titans in that very war, Hyperion, was the literal deity of light. Plus, the deity of the sun, Helios, was also a Titan.
But as the last Titan fell, he swore a curse on the gods. And when his blood struck the sea, the giants were born.
Okay, a lot to point out here. First, the Titans were not killed in the war. They were imprisoned in Tartarus after they lost, because they were immortal and couldn't die. Second, the Titans were not gigantic compared to the gods. Titans and gods were the same size, and the only reason this misconception exists is because people confuse the Titans with the giants, who are literally shown in this same scene, so there's no excuse for this. Third, the Titans and gods bleed red blood in this show, despite the fact that deities in Greek mythology are supposed to have golden ichor running through their veins. Fourth, that's not how the giants were born. The giants were children of Gaia, and their father was either Uranus or Tartarus.
A hellish war erupted, for the great Gigantomachy had begun.
The Gigantomachy did not begin immediately after the Titanomachy. It happened centuries later when many more gods were around. Even Heracles took part in it.
Both gods and giants fell alike.
No gods died in the Gigantomachy. Greek gods can't die anyway. They're immortal. That's not how Zeus and Hera got together. Zeus tricked Hera by taking the form of a cuckoo bird to get close to her, and then forced himself on her because mythology is messed up.
Until one day, Zeus convinced two of the giants to take up arms with the gods.
I'm guessing these two are supposed to be an elder Cyclops and a Hecatoncheires. Those beings were not the same race as the giants. They were actually siblings of the Titans and were thrown in Tartarus for being ugly. They did in fact join Zeus, but it was during the Titanomachy when Zeus freed them from their prison. Also, there's supposed to be 3 of each of them. Also, how do Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades have their divine weapons during this battle if they haven't yet allied with the elder Cyclopes who built them? If you want to know how accurate these designs are for the giants are described in myth as being creatures with long hair, beards, and scaly legs, sometimes snakes for legs and sometimes snakes for hair. So, not quite the Lovecraftian designs we have here. They look awesome, don't get me wrong, but artistic liberties were definitely taken.
Zeus ordered Hermes to gather their souls.
No, he didn't.
The smithing god Hephaestus forged the grand automaton Talos to stand guard over the cauldron, forever sworn to keep it shut.
No, Hephaestus built Talos as a gift for either Europa or Minos, depending on the version.
These men ceased to pay tribute to the gods. Instead, they pledged their allegiance to the giants. And soon, they began to eat of the giant. Through this black communion, a new family of darkness arose. They became demons.
There is no Greek legend of people eating giant flesh and becoming monsters. The closest thing would probably be Lycaon, who tried to feed his own son to Zeus and was turned into a wolf as punishment, but that's a big reach. Honestly, the idea of eating forbidden flesh and becoming a demon is more reminiscent of the Native American Wendigo.
You're no bastard.
Yes, he is. She's saying he's not a bastard because his father is Zeus, but that still makes him a bastard. You and Zeus aren't married, are you?
Climb to the top of this mountain. There you will find a rose bush that stands out from the others. If you dig beneath it, you will find the adamantine ore we'll need.
This may be overly pedantic, but is having the main character climb to the top of a mountain to encounter a special bush to kick off their journey reminding anyone else of a certain story from a very different religion?
Ares.
Yet another property depicting Ares with a massive blunt weapon rather than his sword or iconic spear. Is there some mace-wielding version of Ares I just haven't heard of?
Then allow me to help you.
No. If man is meant to inherit the earth, they must do so on their own accord.
Oh, really? Well, if that's how you think, would you kindly explain why you wiped out humanity multiple times, including the entire Silver Age, and unleashed all the evils on them through Pandora's jar? I'm sure we'd all love to hear how that logic fits in.
Another boy, my lord. Even stronger than the first.
Let me see him.
There are 2 placentas, my lord.
And that means?
There are 2 fathers.
So it's true. You've made a cuckold of me.
There are actually 2 Greek stories about a pair of twins where one was fathered by Zeus and the other by a mortal man, but neither of them quite match this one. In one, the twins were named Castor and Pollux, and the parents were Leda and Tyndareus, and that's definitely not the case here, plus Tyndareus didn't try to murder the bastard one. In the other, the twins are Heracles and Iphicles, and the parents were Alcmene and Amphitryon. No attempted murder there either.
It's not malleable.
It is, when you know the secret of steel.
Shouldn't Hephaestus be doing this? Zeus wasn't really a blacksmith in mythology. His own lightning bolts were made by Hephaestus.
Have you ever seen this seal? 2 winged horses rearing up, meeting in the middle.
It's the seal of Corinth.
You're close. Corinth is very famous for using a Pegasus as a symbol, even to this day, including in their currency, which was known as the Colts of Corinth. But the symbol has always been a Pegasus. Just one, not 2.
Dreams can be deceiving. Here, let me show you.
Let's take a moment to appreciate that a Greek vase is used to tell a story here, because that's very culturally accurate. What? I can be nice sometimes.
There are nightmares brought forth by Phobator.
Well, humans call him Phobator, but the gods refer to him as Icalos. The man currently talking is Zeus, so he should be calling him Icalos. I don't care if he's in human form, them's the rules.
There are illusions, meant to deceive and confuse, brought forth by the great trickster, Phantassos. And then there are visions of the truth, brought forth by Morpheus, the great winged god of dreams. The Oniri are jealous creatures, always trying to outdo each other.
They sound worse than the gods.
They are gods.
I was married to a king.
What king?
King Periander.
The tyrant of Corinth.
King Periander, aka the Tyrant of Corinth, was a real historical king for anyone wondering. There are unfortunately conflicting accounts as to whether he was a harsh ruler or a kind ruler. I will go out on a limb though and say he probably didn't have a wife who slept with a Greek deity at any point. Feel free to present evidence to the contrary.
I had no idea at first. All I knew was that one day, my husband was kind and loving.
Zeus being kind and loving. That's a new one. I'm going to assume this is drawing from the story of Alcmene and Zeus, because if it were drawing from the story of Leda, Zeus would be humping her in the form of a swan. Zeus did in fact seduce Alcmene in the form of her husband Amphitryon, but Amphitryon wasn't an abusive husband. Heck, he raised Heracles as his own. But then he also wasn't Periander of Corinth. Seriously, it's getting hard to keep track of how many stories are being merged together here. Hera seems to be a big raven enthusiast in this show, which I don't get, because Hera's sacred bird was the peacock. There's a whole story behind it. The Greek god associated with ravens was Apollo.
He must really love you. He's never shown his true self to a mortal before.
That was his true self? Well, in that case, she should be dead. Humans incinerate when seeing or embracing the god's true forms. And yes, Zeus has done it before. That's how Dionysus' mother was killed.
But the eye of a jealous woman is very sharp.
It's truly strange that ravens are being used as the eyes of Hera here, because it's specifically stated that the eyes on a peacock's feathers act as the eyes of Hera, whilst ravens are specifically messengers for Apollo, and it was literally just shown that Apollo is helping Zeus hide information from Hera in this story. That's not how King Periander died. He died at the age of 80 after falling into a deep depression after his son's death.
Zeus hid us here, enshrouding the village in darkness so Hera couldn't see us. Don't look back, Hera. Look forward. You're the son of Zeus.
Zeus has had many, many children throughout his stories, but none were ever named Hera. It seems like they wanted to create a new character here, and yet they recycled some of Heracles' backstory for him.
You will find the adamantine ore we'll need.
This sword does not represent any actual Greek mythical weapon.
Before you took my hand in marriage, I was the queen of the heavens.
Were.
She still is. What do you mean by were? Cerberus does not have 3 tails. 3 heads, yes, but only 1 tail. Fun fact, his tail is sometimes said to be a snake. What exactly is he riding? Is that supposed to be a chimera? The chimera doesn't have wings. Is it supposed to be a manticore? The manticore doesn't have horns. What is it?
I'll catch up to you. I have to find my mother. Mother? Mother? Mother! Electra!
His mother is Electra? Well, that throws a ton more worms into the mix here, considering Electra is an extremely popular figure with multiple Greek tragedies named after her, who shares almost no similarities with the mother here. It would take way too long to break it all down, and I'm honestly convinced they only use this name because it's associated with tragedy, and they wanted the mom to be tragic. Zeus creates a lot of blue roses in this show, but the Greeks believe that roses were created by Aphrodite. Some people even specifically say she was born with a blue rose in her hand. I'm pretty sure this woman is supposed to be Artemis. The weird thing is, it's currently nighttime, so shouldn't she be pulling the moon across the sky? Hermes does indeed guide souls to the afterlife, but this show establishes that his bracer is what gives him control over souls. This is shown more definitively later. Hermes had no such bracer in the myths. Now that's a creative Charon design. It's not quite how the Greeks depicted him, but it is creative.
Little did you know that you yourself were the firstborn son of a mighty king.
My father was killed in battle.
When you were an infant, your father was murdered. With you and your father now gone, your uncle knew he and his 50 sons would rule.
Periander was succeeded by his nephew, not his brother.
Acrisius' sons hunted you down.
And now the uncle is Acrisius? Jeez Louise, now I gotta factor that in. Acrisius was Perseus' grandfather, who cast his daughter and grandson into the sea because of a prophecy that Perseus would kill him. He didn't do it for power, and he never had any sons, much less freaking 50 of them. He also wasn't related to Periander or any of these other characters, and now I'd like to point out that this is a story where Periander from real history is the brother of Perseus' grandfather and marries Electra from the Greek tragedies, who then gets seduced by Zeus with the method he used to conceive Heracles and has 2 children who aren't from any of these stories. I don't know what this is anymore! There actually was a Greek hero who was nursed by a bear as a baby, but it was Atalanta, not this guy.
Chiron!
How long has it been?
Too long. Last I heard, you were crowned wise king of the forest.
Chiron was indeed revered as the wisest of the centaurs, but he was never made king of anything. Also, he seems to have horse ears on his head, but centaurs are only part horse from the waist down. Also, if we go by the Ovid stories, he should be dead at this point, since Heracles accidentally killed him during his labors.
What does it say?
It's the key to their labyrinth, where they keep the giant remains.
The labyrinth wasn't used for that. It was used by King Minos as a place to hide the Minotaur.
But there are no reference points, no way to orient where to begin.
That's because it's a star map, keyed to a constellation. See?
Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia dies and becomes a constellation near the end of the Perseus story, and Acrisius also dies at the end of that story. Yet Acrisius is still alive in this show, and Cassiopeia has somehow been a constellation long enough for there to be an old map made around her. Doesn't really add up.
I didn't have a choice. They arrived just before you did. I couldn't risk open war and the lives of my people.
I know this is gonna shock people, but there were no Star Wars references in Greek mythology. Wow, there's a sentence I never thought I'd say. What's Hera doing with the Golden Fleece here? That fleece went from Phrixus to Aeetes to Jason to Apollo's temple in Delphi. It was never in Hera's possession. Did you take it from the temple, Hera? Does Apollo know about this?
I need you to retrieve a sword for me. It can cut through any rock, metal, any material of this earth. Not even Hephaestus' armor can withstand it.
Okay, so now it's just openly being stated that a weapon built by Zeus is better than anything built by Hephaestus, and there just ain't no way. Oh look, a sword in the stone! Wrong mythology.
Father, I saw Hera with the demon leader, Seraphim.
Seraphim? Seraphim? His name was Seraphim this whole time? Okay, that's it. You people cannot decide what kind of story you want to tell. The word seraphim refers to the highest order of angels in Christianity and Judaism. Now, putting aside the question as to why a demonic cult leader would have an angelic name, what religion is this? Because factoring in the heavily Christianized demons, Zeus calling himself Elias, Salem witch trials reference, climbing a mountain to reach a bush, and that sword in the stone moment, I'm starting to wonder if Jesus himself is gonna show up by the end. Seriously, is this a Greek story, a Bible story, an original story, a Star Wars story, a hodgepodge of every Greek character ever with angels and demons running around inspired by a galaxy far, far away? Yeah, it's probably the last one.
First, I need you to find the Cauldron of Darkness.
There is no Cauldron of Darkness in Greek mythology. Even if there was one, you'd think Erebus would have it, since he's the literal embodiment of darkness.
Ridiculous. Keep it in his pants. Seventh master shall not be silent. Keep track of your past. Won't stand for it. Not at all. This is entirely absurd.
You know, it's really refreshing to see a show like this showcasing some of the lesser-known Greek deities. It's about damn time we featured characters like God 1, God 2, God 3, God 4, and even God 5. God 5 is criminally underappreciated.
Seventh master shall not be silent.
Somebody just said Heron is Zeus's 7th illegitimate child. From what I can tell, this story is supposed to take place towards the end of Greek mythology. If that's the case, Zeus should have way more than 7 affair babies by now. I listed 22 of them in my Hercules video, and that wasn't even including the gods.
Not all foes can be defeated by strength or anger. Perseus did not slay Medusa with anger. Even Hercules needed his wits to defeat Antaeus.
Oh, so Perseus and Heracles do exist in this world. In that case, how in the hell is Acrisius still alive? Perseus killed him before Heracles was even born. Also, why did you say Hercules instead of Heracles? You're not in Rome. You're not calling yourself Jupiter, so why are you calling him Hercules? You don't know your own son's name?
I think there is. Well, you won't know training him like that. How does that help someone let go of their anger?
Man, here I was just assuming that guy was Hephaestus, but it turns out he's actually some other character named God 6. Don't I look the fool?
I'm trying, but I don't know how to do this. I never really knew my father. He didn't raise me. He wanted me dead. And when I finally met him, I had to kill him to save my siblings.
Most of that was spot on, except when Zeus met Kronos, he didn't kill him to save his siblings. He forced Kronos to throw up, because the siblings were in his stomach at the time.
And now,
That's not how Acrisius died. Perseus killed him by accident during a disc-throwing contest. It's nice to see some use of Hermes' invisibility. Not everyone knows about that, but here it seems to be activated when his hood is over his head, whereas in the myths it came from his magic cap. Hermes and Apollo are currently battling the literal god of war, and yet Hermes doesn't pull out his signature caduceus and Apollo doesn't use his signature golden bow. This is not the time to hold back, guys. Also, Apollo's chariot is pulled by 4 horses, but there's only 2 here. Also, who's guiding the sun right now? Talos is fueled by the blood of the gods, not what appears to be either lava or hot lead. That's not how Talos was slain. The sorceress Medea pulled a plug out of his foot and all his ichor spilled out. Yeah, she killed a robot by unplugging him. Greek mythology was ahead of its time.
We can't risk the fate of the war to a mortal.
He's not immortal. He's my son.
But he can still be killed, so he's still mortal. In fact, this show has actually established that pretty much everyone, including gods, titans, and giants, can all be killed. So really, all of you are mortal. Maybe that's why none of you have golden ichor running through your veins. So, Heron's gonna defend Olympus from the giants using a bow, which is exactly what Heracles did. They also have similar backstories. And their names start with the same 3 letters. Was this supposed to be Heracles at one point? Wait, is that another Cerberus? There's only one Cerberus in Greek mythology. So since everyone's gathered up for the big battle, I gotta ask, where's that Cyclops from the first episode who joined the gods? And what the heck happened to the Hecatoncheires? Those two would be a heck of a lot of help right now. Heck. I see several Pegasi here, but there was only one Pegasus in mythology. Huh. I don't think I've ever seen a Greek warrior use a throwing disc in battle before. I kinda love it. Disc throwing was a popular Greek game, and it was established that this character competes in games. What a neat way to incorporate the culture into the action.
They'll betray you. Don't let them destroy Olympus.
You should have thought of that before you slept with that whore.
As I've said before, Zeus doesn't actually have the power to summon lightning. His thunderbolts are built for him by Hephaestus and the Cyclopes.
You've used my bident well. Who are you? Hades. It's far worse than you can imagine. But I can help you, save you from the fate that awaits you there. I just need you to do one thing for me. Kneel.
The age-old let's make Hades a villain cliché. That one will always be inaccurate, no matter how popular it may be. Hi, thanks for watching, and thanks so much to the awesome people on Patreon who make these videos possible. People like Evil Angel, Lilith Jade Vaughn, Gilda Ramos, Anime King, Zach Horgan, Matthew Owen, Miyaka041, Orgus Bichot, Shadow Slaughter, Soaring Rock, Adam Whaley, Anthony Miano, Gwyn016, Man-Eating Mare, Zaggard, AC Stevens08, Airtank58, Average Brexit Geezer, Kane Kendrick, CJ the Boy, Damian Fireheart, Donald Lee Pack, Dubious, Elijah Vixzina, Feel the Wrath, Forgetful Dragon, Garrett Peterson, Gavin Lothar, Gillies, Habalon, James H., Jeff Jeffington, Jeremy Sunday, John Kratos, Cade, Carey692, Kevin, Lassie Ehrenreich, Machamp, Marco Gonzalez, Maria Potter, Quick to Adjust, Saint Wolfman, Shaquille James, Shipka, Sunsinger, and The Jesus. Thanks so much, you guys. It means a ton to me. And if you want to become part of the community, get your name in the credits, and get earlier access to certain stuff, be able to message me directly, the link is in the description. But you support me either way just by watching these. Thank you for that.